I would really like to get through a lot of Islam today. However, I find myself always adding more than I need to, but I think it's really important. The reason why I always get kind of caught up on Islam is A, you guys don't really know that much. Can we agree? I wasn't even taught Islam in school. Were you taught Islam in school? Absolutely not. I wasn't. And I'm not as old as you guys.
They didn't even offer Spanish like that.
They didn't even offer Spanish?
French or German, maybe.
Anyway, so the whole thing about Islam is that I always feel like the population of students I've always come across doesn't know much about it at all. And frankly, I didn't learn anything about it until I got to college, which is really sad because when everything always has an opposite, correct? Okay, good, light, dark, good, evil, all that stuff. It's a kind of a dichotomy thing. Christianity wouldn't be Christianity unless it had Islam. Islam wouldn't exist unless there was Christianity. And they're the same foundations, just with a little pizzazz to make it unique. They're the same damn thing, because they all come out of Abraham. Everything's based on Abraham. Jesus is a major prophet in Islam. He's a big deal. They love him. He's a great guy. Okay? Christianity sees Muhammad as, hey, this guy had some really cool things to say. If you look at the official papers of the Christian faith, he's in there. He's seen as a major leader. Okay? So Muhammad. He's born around 570. He's the son of a merchant, so he's living a pretty comfortable life. But both of his parents dying. He's orphaned at the age of 13. Okay? So tough life for my man. Okay? So that being said, he is kind of desperate. So he finds this older widow, and he marries her at age like 17 or 18 because it gives him some financial stability, and he's all about that. So he gets married at 17, 18. The big deal is that he produces a child with this woman, and it's a girl. It's a big deal because this is going to play a role later on in life. All right, so he is familiar with paganism, Christianity. He's familiar with Zoroastrianism, but he's not very religious, like at all. He's just living his life, doing this day to day. So, in 610, which you need to write down, this is a very, 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 very important thing. Oh, by the way, on the top of your notes, on the top of the sheet of paper, I want you to write period 3, 600 to 1450. You need to know that we've now entered period 3, which goes from day 600 to 1450. Then I would start, of course, your notes. All right, so, anyway, in 610, Muhammad is spoken to by God for the first time. So Islam starts officially in 610, which is important that you know that. So, how Muhammad, okay, Archangel Gabriel, does anyone know that name? Yeah. Why do you know the name, Gabby? Oh, really? Are you a Muslim? No. What are you? Are you a Christian? Oh my God. Because it's the same angel. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the new Lord King, or whatever it is. Okay? It's all about Gabriel. You know, Gabriel announces to the world, a new king is born. Yes? Hello? It's the same damn one. The same angel shows up in Judaism, but I can't remember the story when she shows up there too. Okay? Please hear and look at me for 2 seconds. Judaism influences Christianity. Christianity is based on Judaism, but they do their own little twist. Okay? Judaism influences Christianity, which influences Islam. Islam has foundations of Jesus and his teachings, and all the cool stuff Jesus does is in Islam. Christianity is based on Judaism, so the things that are in Judaism are in Islam. They are all connected, just with twists that make them special. Is everyone clear on that? Like, for instance, Abraham in the Old Testament, or in the beginning of the Quran, or in the Torah, depending on what book, is throwing 3 rocks at the devil, correct? To repel the devil? No? We're not really familiar with the Old Testament? Fine. Abraham's throwing rocks at the devil. Guess what? That story is in all 3 books. If you go on a Hajj, guess what you do? You throw 3 rocks at the devil just like Abraham does. You climb the same mountain Abraham climbs when you go on a Hajj. They are the same at the core. They just do things a little bit differently. So what are the differences? Okay? So, first big difference is the Quran, which you need to write down. The Quran has two spellings, by the way. The Quran or Korn, both are the same. They're the same thing, so I don't want you to get freaked out if you see them. Okay. What you need to know is that I think everyone in the room, whether you're a Christian or not, can agree that Jesus was a pretty cool guy, correct? We know by historical facts, government records, of a government that didn't like him, correct? Because we know he was kicking it during Roman times, and the Romans didn't really like him. Obviously, they killed him, okay? We know that Jesus was living his life for other people and doing amazing things and helping people. We have facts, we have proof that we know Jesus was actually a good guy, whether you're a Christian or not, correct? Jesus was not doing any of this stuff for it to be written down. Jesus wasn't like, oh my God, write this down. I'm gonna go make this wine, this water wine. Write it down, man. He's not doing any of that. All of the stories that are in the Bible were written after the fact, about 10 to 20 years after he did it. Jesus was not trying to get anyone to keep receipts on what he's doing. All he wants is just to make the world a better place. Yes? Okay? All of your pieces of the Bible are written post by other people in retrospect. How accurate do you think they are? I mean, just think about it. If you wrote something 15, 20 years after the fact, how accurate do you think it would be? I'm just letting you think. Like, how accurate do you think it is? Anyway. Muhammad and his Quran is totally different. So God speaks to Muhammad, and he's like, bro, write this down. And Muhammad's like, I can't write. So then he finds his scribe. And he's like, hey, can you write? And the scribe's like, yeah, I can write. And he's like, okay. So Muhammad's like, write this down. And there's like verbal diarrhea tells him everything. That is the Quran. Muhammad can't write, so he finds a scribe, and he's like, write this down. Muhammad literally tells the scribe what to write. The scribe writes down what he says. The nickname of the Quran is the direct word of God. You need to know that. Now, up until about 20 years ago, the Quran was only published in Arabic. Why do you think the Quran was only published in Arabic? You could only write in Arabic. You could only read in Arabic. Why? Why, Trey?
That's where Islam is popular.
Okay, it's where it's most popular, but think about it. Why? So Muhammad tells a scribe to write down.
Oh, is he only speak?
Muhammad said it in Arabic. So, the only way you could read the Quran is in the official language that Muhammad dictated it, that a guy wrote it in. That's why you could only read it in Arabic. Isn't that cool? Now you can get it in any language you want. It's on my summer reading list. I'm going to read it this summer because I'm just fascinated by the thing. I really am. Not like a religious text as in like I'm going to want to pick it up. But I've always kind of like, it'd be cool just to know what's really in it, you know? To be honest, I haven't read all of the Bible. But maybe one day. Maybe you'll also be on my... Oh, wouldn't that be fun to read the Quran and then read the Bible right away? Wouldn't that be cool, Ren?
Oh, yeah.
That'd be cool. Anyway. Alright, so...
Skip all the begotten parts, and they begot this, and they begot that.
Oh, that's true, because that'd be so annoying. It's a little redundant. Anyway.
The rest of it's good.
Have you read the Bible?
Yeah.
Like cover to cover?
I didn't read the begotten parts, so skip over that. It's a long genealogy that's kind
That's
of
true.
tiresome
That's
after a while.
Yeah, I bet it would. Anyway, alright, well, I'm Catholic, so we don't really read the Bibles.
You're not supposed to read it or cover.
Why wouldn't you read it cover to cover?
They're just like.
Well, I know. Like in church, yes, but you're not going to spend 16
but
hours
I'm
reading
saying
the
like
Bible.
when I went to like CC, like
They told you not to read the Bible cover to cover?
Yeah.
They told you that?
Yeah.
Wait, you
They
went to
didn't.
Disney,
They
right?
didn't tell.
That's like,
Yeah.
they this is all your sex
They
with
told us
Christianity.
not
It's
to.
great. It's great. It's great.
We're
Catholic too, yeah. I'm confirmed Catholic too. You don't read it cover to cover.
Sacred Heart.
Oh,
Oh my God! I can't wait till we get to the division of the Christian church, because Christianity right now, everyone's Catholic. In period 3 right now, where we are in history, everyone's a Catholic. We don't have Protestants. We don't have all these other people until period 3. Does that make sense? Huh? Oh, that's gonna start later. We gotta get the Orthodox. We gotta get the Orthodox people going here, which we're gonna do in the Byzantines. All right, here we go. So Muhammad commits everything. He tells his scribe to write it down. That's why we have the Quran. That's how it's the direct word of God, because Muhammad literally told them to write exactly what he says. So the Quran is finished in 650. Muhammad dies in 632, which also you definitely need to know that. It is a major moment in history. Okay, so Muhammad dies in 632. The book, the Quran is finished in 650. The reason is because the scribe, okay, my boy Matthew over here, who's my scribe today, he is going to write what happens to Muhammad after his death, and he's going to start writing about how Islam is carrying on after it. So it's a very clear end line after Muhammad dies. The scribe who actually wrote it makes it very clear the narrator is changed from Muhammad to a layperson or someone who is not in the church. Not church. Damn it, no. Who is not Muhammad. Anyway, so what happens is the Allah commands Muhammad to take Mecca. Now, Mecca is a trading capital city in the region. It is very wealthy. It also makes a lot of money off of tourism. The reason why is because it has a religious center. They have religious relics in the center of the town, so it attracts both merchants and religious pilgrims to the center of Mecca, pre-Muhammad, because it's a pagan religion that's happening in Mecca previous to this. So Muhammad is told by God, I need you to take that city. And Muhammad's like, whoa, it's kind of not my thing, and God commands it. Now, if you really believe that God was speaking to you, and God commands you to take a city, what are you going to do? You're going to take a city. You have to understand that there's a difference between Jesus and Muhammad. Okay? There is a big difference. Okay? Whether you're Christian or not, we can all agree that Jesus was a pretty cool guy, correct? Do you know anyone who lives their life for other people like Jesus did? We know for a fact that he did a lot of the things that are in the Bible. I mean, we can't prove the fact that he turned water into wine, but like all of the religious thing, all of the services he did for people and stuff like that, we can't prove it. Okay? Jesus is one of the few people, major leaders in history, who did not kill anyone in their rise to power and fame. Yes? Okay? Jesus was never commanded to do it because Jesus, that wasn't his thing. He just wanted to make the world a better place, and that's what the core of Christianity is. Okay? But keep in mind, stop and listen, this is really important, because when you talk about Islam today in 2017, does it have a positive connotation or a negative connotation? It has a very negative connotation, and they say that Islam is a religion based on war and death. Okay? And they say jihad. You all heard that word before, right? Jihad. Okay. Was that you or was it Ren? Oh, okay. Perfect. Yeah. I thought it was Ren because never mind. Okay. With that being said, we've all heard that term on TV, correct? Anytime there's a terrorist attack, they're like, oh my God, it's jihad, 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 and all that crap. Yes? Okay. You have to understand that Jesus is very, very strange. But a lot of killing has been done in Jesus' name. Would you agree? Talk about the Crusades, talk about anyone, forced conversions and all that stuff that Christians have done. Muhammad is different. Now, when we talk about Christianity, we know Abraham almost killed his own son, correct? Abraham also killed people at his own hands throughout his life. A lot of the Old Testament is people killing each other. Can we just agree? Okay? Moses killed a guy. Okay? Like, people killing other people is all over both Judaism and Christianity. So, God speaks to Muhammad and says, hey, take the city. You got to do it. If God spoke to you and said, hey, take the city, you're going to take the city, correct? You have to understand, Jesus is the only major leader who doesn't kill anyone. Doesn't kill anyone. Okay? That's amazing for Jesus. It doesn't work every way. Does that mean the whole religion is based on blood? No, it's not. It's actually very, very peaceful. It's a very pretty religion, which we're going to get to. Anyway, so Muhammad goes to Mecca and says, stop practicing your religion. We're no longer doing this. Well, that's going to take money out of their tourism budget. Is that going to be a good thing or a bad thing? It's a bad thing. So they kick Muhammad out of Mecca. So Muhammad goes to Mecca and he starts destroying all the religious relics and stuff like that. And the people in Mecca are like, screw you, Muhammad. Get the hell out of here. So they kick Muhammad out and he flees to the city of Medina. Okay, Medina, we drew on a map. It's the second holiest city. Well, Medina is not a trading metropolis. There's not a ton of stuff going on in Medina. So they have no way to feed and support themselves. Now while he's out there, he creates an ummah, which is this communal society, and he starts attracting followers. And then these followers keep getting more followers, and it starts becoming incredibly popular. Now there's no way to feed yourself out there, so what they're doing is raiding caravans that are going to Mecca. And that's how they're getting their food. You'd be doing the same thing if you were in the middle of the desert and there was no food around too, would you not? Jesus didn't do things like this, but no one else is like Jesus. Can we agree? It's hard to compare anyone to Jesus, whether you're a Christian or not. Yes? Okay, you have families, little children who are starving to death. You would be raiding caravans too. So, he raids caravans. Then God says, you need to take the city. Okay, so he's sitting there thinking about it. So what is Islam based on? Islam is based on Allah. Huh? Allah. It's not based on Allah. I don't think it was funny at all. I know, but I didn't think it was funny, so we'll not do that one again. So, with Islam, what is it all based on? Muhammad is the prophet. He is seen as a great guy, but he is not divine, which means he is not the son of Allah like Jesus is the son of God. He is a man. When he dies, no one's surprised because he's a man. Okay? In Islam, you do not worship Muhammad. You respect him. You try to live your life like him in service of his God. But he is not to be worshipped. Allah is the only one to worship. Allah in Arabic means God, by the way. Alright. So, Islam is based on Judaism, which Christianity is based off of Judaism. Islam is based off Christianity and Judaism. In Christianity, okay, in Judaism, Abraham's everything, correct? Hello? Yes? Okay, in Judaism, they're still waiting for the Son of God to arrive. At the end of the Old Testament, they say the Son of God is going to come and save you all. So Jews are still waiting for God to arrive. They're the Son of God to arrive. Christians believe that the Son of God has arrived, and that guy is Jesus. So Christians are like, whoa, Jews, you're still waiting, and they're still waiting in 2017. We got our man. His name's Jesus. He's the Son of God. So Christians are like, woo, we got the Son of God, all that stuff, living life, all that. Okay, Jesus dies, all of our sins are washed away, and we're all going to go to heaven as long as we do what we're told, correct? Islam believes that all of that happened with the Jews waiting for God's Son to arrive. They believe that Jesus has come and has died. He is the Son of God. They believe that Muhammad has the final chapter of knowledge. That the religion itself is 3 chapters long. Abraham's chapter 1. Jesus is chapter 2. Muhammad is the final and 3rd chapter. Does that make sense? They believe everything Christians believe. They just believe that Muhammad got the final picture of how to continue living your life after Jesus' death. Yes?
So who do they, not like respect more, but like look more toward, like Muhammad or Jesus?
Muhammad.
Okay.
Jesus is like a stand-up guy, killing it, major deal, huge influence, awesome. But it's the last guy that they see is like, okay, Jesus did his thing, inspired, and this, because of Jesus, we have Muhammad. Does that make sense? Jesus is the first one, second one to come around with the story of God, but it's Muhammad who's complete. Yes?
So when like the, I guess, terrorists say Allah,
Okay.
or that's the
Yeah.
same Allah.
Okay, Allah Akbar, and it's like Muhammad al-Danai is the guy that is the leader of ISIS, they think. Have you seen? On CNN this morning, they had a huge report about Abu Bakr Aliyah Muhammad Danai. I don't know. It's based off Abu Bakr, who is the first caliph, who I'm going to get to here in a second. It's on the next slide.
So they do believe in Jesus?
They do believe in Jesus, yeah. Yeah, he's seen as like the second coming.
Why do radical Islamic people hate?
Okay, so this is exactly what I'm so glad you're thinking of this. Think with me here for a second. Okay. Ku Klux Klan. They are devout Christians. They use the Bible to murder, terrorize, and harass people. If you are a Christian in this room, do you consider the Ku Klux Klan to be great Christians? No, absolutely not. But they use the Bible. When they do their lynchings, there's a guy reading the Bible. They burn crosses. They're reading the Bibles at their Ku Klux Klan meeting. What are you talking about? They're not good Christians. They're reading the Bible. They're using the religion. Are they using it in the way the religion's supposed to be used? No. No one looks at the Ku Klux Klan and says, damn, those are great Christians, right? They're terrorists. They're terrible people. They're using a religion and manipulating it into exactly what they want it to be, correct? They're using it as a justification. They're purifying the world for the white race. That's not what Jesus is about at all, correct? They're manipulating and using it as a weapon. That is what ISIS is doing. Same thing. If you don't identify Ku Klux Klan as the same type of Christian you are, then the ISIS is absolutely not the same type of Muslim a regular Muslim is. They use it as a weapon. They use it as a justification, just like Timothy McVeigh. Timothy McVeigh killed 1,200 people in Oklahoma bombing. Guess what? He was a devout Christian. Do you think that guy represents your Christianity? Hello? No, they're oddities, they're extremists, they're over in the far, far corners of religion. They do not identify all people. So when you think about ISIS, do they represent the normal people? No, absolutely not. They're the wackadoodles. Okay? And they're worse than wackadoodles. But they're horrible, horrible people who are using it as a weapon. People use Christianity as a weapon. Pope Urban II, okay? Jerusalem is going to fall to the Muslims. The Muslims are going to take over the city of Jerusalem because it's the third most holiest city to Muslims because Jesus was there and Jesus is important to Islam. So it's the third most important city. The Muslims take over Jerusalem. Okay, Pope Urban II, Pope, the leader of the Catholic Church or the Christian faith, because everyone's the same at this point, okay, says, if you go kill Muslims, you've guaranteed your spot in heaven. All of your sins are clean. Your family goes to heaven. Everything is totally fine if you kill Muslims. I'm sorry. Is that what Jesus was telling us about how to clean our souls? Hello? No. Every single person in power typically uses it to their advantage, correct? Okay? People who use Christianity as a weapon, and people are still doing that today, correct? When we look at American politics, are people now using Christianity to justify certain things in government? Which, whether you agree or not, will you say that's becoming more prominent? Yes? Okay, people are using religion. Same thing with Islam, same thing with Hinduism. They're using it to justify. Some of it's good, some of it's bad. It's up to the decision. But you cannot call all Muslims terrorists or all Muslims are ISIS because it's just like saying all Christians are Ku Klux Klan. I'm very proud to say I am not a part of the KKK. I do not identify myself as KKK. When you call a Muslim who is just living their life and worshiping the God they have a terrorist, you are equating them with the worst people in the world who do not represent anything about them because I think racist KKK members are pieces of crap. And if you equate me to them, I would literally beat the crap out of you and spit in your mouth. Do you see the difference? Please walk with that with your life. When you see people harassing Muslims, which is becoming a thing again, okay, that's the same thing. It's the same thing. You know better, don't do it. Jackson, what do you got?
What part of the Quran are they using to justify what they're doing?
Jihad? Is that what you're talking about? I'm going to get to it here in 2 seconds. Okay? It's a good question. I'm not ignoring you, Jackson. I'm just going to get to it in a historical sense. All right. So, Muhammad's doing his thing. Okay? He's the prophet. Everyone's starting to follow him now. So, God comes back to Muhammad and is like, Muhammad, bro, I told you, you got to get Mecca. I need Mecca. Okay? So, Muhammad, who's being spoke to by God for the second time commanding him to take Mecca, and he's like, ah, damn it. So he tells his followers, we got to take Mecca. And his followers are like, okay. At this point, Muhammad goes back to Mecca, and he takes the city. What that means is he kills in the name of Allah for the first time. I have made it very clear, Muhammad and Jesus are not the same, correct? Jesus doesn't have blood on his hands at all. Muhammad does. Judaism, they have blood all over their hands in the Old Testament. Everyone's killing everyone in the Old Testament. Understand, Jesus is an oddity. Cool guy, super influential. Definitely try to live your life like him because he's a pretty boss guy, whether you're a Christian or not. Okay, Muhammad has blood on his hands because they do take the city. Okay, they take the city, they convert Mecca into a Muslim city. Okay, it's the first major Muslim city in the world. Now, I told you that it was a major tourist location for a polytheistic religion. Yes? What they do is they convert that polytheistic religion into now a monotheistic religion, just like what the Christians did. Remember I told you that Jesus was actually born in like October or late September? Yeah? But we celebrate his birthday in December, correct? Okay? The reason why they make his birthday December 25th is because it was a major pagan holiday. So instead of trying to rewrite history, they just adopted local things. The Muslims do the same thing. Mecca is a major tourist capital for a polytheistic religion. So they convert this polytheistic religious site into the center of the Muslim world. Does everyone know what the center of the Muslim world is? It's a site. What is it? The Kaaba, yes! Okay, the Kaaba. Now,
Box thing, right?
it's the box. Yes.
That's
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. So I have a bunch of pictures for you. Who knew, right? Isn't this wild? I got pictures. So, when we talk about the Kaaba, this is the Kaaba. Have you seen it? This is the Kaaba during Hajj, which is a 2-week period where Muslims from around the world come to Mecca. So this on it is like an amazingly fabulous black velvet covering. Okay? This is pure gold sewn into it as a decoration. Every year they make a new cloth covering. Inside of the Kaaba, they have Muhammad's bodies in there, I'm pretty sure, right? Isn't his body in there?
No.
Where is it? It's not there. They have a couple of religious relics and stuff in there, okay? There's a door. Once a year, people go in there, like the leaders, the most important people in Islam go in there and stuff like that. So this is the Kaaba. This is the center of Islam. Every day in Muslim cities or people who practice Islam, okay, what happens 5 times a day? There's a call to prayer. This call to prayer, it happens at dawn, it happens at dusk, and they do it 3 other times during the day. Okay, everything stops. So if you go visit a Muslim country, like Saudi Arabia, for instance, okay, you're going through the grocery store and you hear the call to prayer. The grocer of that store is going to ask you to leave. They're going to lock you outside. They're going to pull out their prayer mat and then do their prayers as us non-Muslims, I'm assuming, stand outside and just wait. And then once the call of prayer is over, which is about 8 minutes long, the grocer will unlock the door, let you in, and then you'll continue with your shopping experience. Okay? When you talk about the call to prayer, it happens 5 times a day. Everything stops. If you are driving in a car and the call to prayer is heard, you pull over, you pull out your prayer mat, and you do your prayers. If you are on a plane and it happens to be the call to prayer, you pull out your prayer mat and you do your prayer. So what does it look like? It looks like this. You are completely submitting to the will of God. And that's why they put their forehead on the floor. It's a really beautiful ceremony. It happens 5 times a day. Now, think about whatever religion you are. Do you stop and think about whatever God 5 times a day? Do you literally stop everything and say thanks 5 times a day? No! I'm lucky if I go twice a year to church. Okay? With that being said, Muslims do. They stop 5 times a day. In the middle of battle, they do not attack unless the call of prayer, as soon as the call of prayer ends, then they fight, and then they withdraw by the time the next call to prayer happens. Everything is based on the 5 prayers of the day. What do you got, Bren?
Oh, he's buried in Medina, called the Green Dome, or
Oh, is he? I didn't know that.
Muslim prophet.
I didn't think he was buried there, which is why I always ask, but I wasn't sure. What do you got, Matthew?
When was the Kaaba created?
Kabba's actually polytheistic, but they converted into the monotheistic.
I believe that Abraham and Ishmael built the Kaaba originally.
There you go. See?
Because
You don't need to know that
traces
first.
his lineage back to Ishmael. He's the first son of Abraham. He's not illegitimate, but something he had with his servant. He couldn't have a son originally with his wife because she was too old. The miraculously ended up having Isaac, second son.
Beyond my scope. What do you got?
Don't they like have to face,
No, you're fine. I just
like face somewhere or something?
Yeah, they have to face Mecca. They have to face the Kaaba. This is the center. So this is the largest mosque in the world. Brianna got in big trouble. She took a photo of it smiling in front of it, and she didn't have a head covering on because it's the holiest site in the Muslim faith. Here's the Kaaba right here. These are all people. This is Hajj. Like, it's 4 layers. It's 4 layers of people just circling the Kaaba. And it's millions of people every single year go to Mecca to pray during the Hajj, which is the holiest time of year, and they go and worship their God. Okay, what do you got?
How do they determine who's going to be in the middle, like right next to it?
Oh, it's one of those things you kind of like wait in line and stuff like that. I mean, millions of people go to Mecca every single year for Hajj. And it's just super organized and super peaceful. So this is non-Hajj. So you're going to see people wearing all different types of things. This is the holiest site. So if you are an American and you are Muslim, when you pray 5 times a day, you pray facing Mecca. If you look in your app store and you type in face Mecca, there's like 15 or 30 apps that tell you exactly where to face to pray to Mecca. And then when they're praying to Mecca, but they're praying to the Kaaba, which is the center of their religion. Isn't that cool? What do you got?
Kind of different question, but let's say you're Muslim and you go to school. Would they let you?
Yes. Absolutely. If you are a Muslim, Benji, and it's your call to prayer, I absolutely, by law, have to allow you to go to prayer. The problem is it easy to be a Muslim in America? No, because people are morons. And the reason why people are morons is because they don't understand Islam, and they think all Muslims are terrorists. And the reason why they think all Muslims are terrorists is because the only thing we actually know about Muslims, besides Muslims aren't Christians, is this thing called jihad, correct? That they celebrate killing non-Christians, which is going back to Jackson's question. So, jihad, what is it? It's known as the struggle, okay? It is in the Quran, but it's a very small section of the Quran. It's essentially telling Muslims, if it's important to you, it's worthy of laying down your life to protect. And if anyone is trying to take it from you, you have the right to defend and kill them, correct? Sounds a lot like owning a gun here by the NRA, correct? Stand your ground. You can shoot anyone who's trying to take your family and all that stuff. Sounds very similar to it. That's what jihad is based on, okay? Anyone who threatens a Muslim's ability to worship their God, they're going to fight back, okay? It's a passing statement in the Quran. It is not the entire Quran. The rest of the Quran is about improving life, and it's about improving your connection with God. If someone was threatening your life because you're a Christian, would you defend yourself? Hello? Yeah, you will. Okay? Now, is that written down in our Bible? No. But if someone said, I'm going to kill you because you're a Christian, would you fight back? Yeah? The only difference is that they have a passage in their text saying that you have the right to defend your God. Do you see how the jihad has been manipulated? Now, once Muhammad dies, now remember, he was commanded by God to take over Mecca. He doesn't take over any other city. He doesn't command the death of anyone else except for the ones God told him. God told him to take Mecca. Pope Urban II commanded 4 million people to kill Muslims, and he's not a god. Can we agree? So keep it in context like that. Anyway, so jihad has been used and manipulated by people after Muhammad to be used for evil and to use as justification for killing. Okay, so you do need to know the 5 pillars of Islam. First one is know God but Allah and Muhammad as his prophet. Muhammad is not a god, but Muhammad is seen as the epitome of perfection. That you want to live your life like Muhammad. Then you have the daily prayer. How many times they pray a day? 5. They stop everything and pray 5 times a day. Okay? Fasting during Ramadan. Now, Benji, going back to your question about kids in school. If you're in a Muslim country, everyone stops. including the teacher. You stand next to your desk, you put down your prayer mat, everyone prays at the same time, and then we just go back to instruction like nothing is done. At Warren, where I used to teach, we had a large Muslim population, which was pretty cool. Every single day, there's 2 prayers during the school day, and they would just leave, and they would go pray. The sad thing is that they would go pray in an empty classroom because they didn't want anyone to see them in order to avoid being harassed. Isn't that pathetic? It's so pathetic. It's so pathetic. But that's, I guess, now you know better, and I hope you stand up for people, correct? You know better. All right, so charity, you're supposed to give 10% of your wealth away to charity. The largest countries that donate the most money to charities by percentage are all Muslim. They give way more than Americans and other Christian-based countries. Isn't that crazy? They give a lot of money. And pilgrimage to Mecca, which is the Hajj, is the Kaaba, which we just saw. All right, so Sharia law is a Muslim law code. Okay, it's going to be based on the Quran and based on Muhammad's life. Now, the Sharia law is going to make a comeback in the 1970s with a terrorist group called, Al-Qaeda. They're the ones who really bring it back and make it super, super extreme. The idea of using Islamic beliefs in law is based on Sharia law. Now, the Sharia law that some countries use today is not what Muhammad had. We've all seen Muslim women and how they wear a hijab, correct? They wear the hair covering, yes? In Sharia law, it is required that all women wear a head covering, which is why they've kind of had a comeback, which is why it came back in the 1970s and all that stuff. By the way, there's 4 major religions that required women to cover their hair, or men. 4. Judaism, men wear a yarmulke in respect to God, correct? You're really devout, you're traditionalist Jews, wear yarmulkes all the time, and in respect to God. Christianity, have you ever seen medieval drawings and stuff like that? They have their hair covered, do they not? Christians, women were required to cover their hair to show modesty to God. Okay? Same thing. If you become a Christian nun, what do you wear? A habit. Hindus, all different sects, there's head coverings involved. The idea of wearing a head covering was just what every woman did as a sign of God, like being respectful to God. Instead of wearing like a crucifix, a cross or any of the symbols, you would just cover your hair in respect to God. In Christian favor, it became unpopular. So that's why only our nuns are doing it, and if you consider yourself a Christian, none of your hairs are covered. Just kind of fell out of favor. So it was kind of one of those things. So that's Sharia law. What do you got?
Are the Taliban like the same thing as ISIS?
No, they're a different terrorist group. They're a different group. And they have, so the Taliban are going to lay the foundation for ISIS. One of my favorite things I heard was that the Taliban and Al-Qaeda rejected ISIS when they first came up because they were too extreme. Al-Qaeda and the Taliban said ISIS was too extreme. And here we are in 2017 dealing with all this crap. They do not represent Muslims. They are going to implement their own law code, which is going to be incredibly harsh. They use the foundation of Sharia law, but then they use it and abuse it to their desires. Just like, Matthew, if you had your own government and you hate the color purple, guess what you can do? You can ban the color purple because you don't like it. People manipulate things, and you would use, God says, no more purple. You know what I mean? You can manipulate things any way you want. Is that how it's really supposed to be now? All right, so what we're going to have is that we all understand that Muhammad is the prophet of Allah, correct? Hello?
Yeah.
Okay, so Muhammad's going to live his life. He's going to die in 632. He knew he was going to die. But the problem is there was no successor. Muhammad didn't lay down directions about what to do next. So after Muhammad dies, everyone's like, oh crap, what the hell do we do now? Which is a valid question, correct? In Christianity, there was no religion. Jesus didn't start a religion, Jesus just died. And everyone's like, oh man, and then Paul of Tarsus is like, we should do something. Let's get this going and start a religion. So he did. Okay, Muhammad starts a religion and then dies. After he dies, everyone's like, what the hell do we do? And then his son-in-law was like, I'll lead. And everyone's like, oh yeah, you're the son-in-law of Muhammad. Yeah, you're married to his daughter. Oh yeah, that makes sense. So everyone's like, cool, Abu Bakr, let's do this, huh? He's the son-in-law of the daughter, his only daughter. He becomes the leader or the caliph. The caliph is the Pope of Islam. Okay, here in Catholicism, we have our own procedure of picking the Pope. Yes? Hello? Do you know the procedure? You've seen it twice in your lifetime, ladies and gentlemen, which is crazy. Okay? All the cardinals, all the high-up cardinals get locked in the house. Goodbye. I hope this makes you think a little bit differently about Islam, does it? Good.
I feel bad for them.
Huh?
It makes me feel bad.
You should feel bad for Muslims and how they are treated in 2017 in America. The people who decide to participate in ISIS and all that stuff, and these extremist terrorist groups, they are terrible people, do not get me wrong. But the reason why they're doing it is because they're tired of being persecuted. Does that make sense?
Is that why it's like?
That's why it's catching on. Is because Muslims who are being treated like crap are tired of being harassed.